I'm going to talk about something I don't even know what to call it. I'm going to call it the reverse gaslight, but I don't even think that's right. The inverted gaslight, the upside down gaslight, this just happened to me, and it was fascinating because I knew it was happening to me in real time, but it wasn't a typical gaslight, and yet it's an interesting and profoundly manipulative move that can mess you up more than a traditional gaslighting experience, especially if you don't know what you're dealing with. Again, I can't even come up with a name for it. It's a hybrid gaslight, an inverted gaslight, a reverse gaslight. It's a manipulative mess. I'm just not sure of the name. This experience happened actually for me in a workplace relationship, but I could easily see how it could happen in any kind of narcissistic or manipulative relationship, family, partner. In my case, it was someone who was accusing me, bold-faced, accusing me of things that were untrue. I knew they were untrue, right? They were omitting key facts and then painting a really distorted narrative of me as someone who was disloyal and shirking responsibilities and being obtuse and not being open and honest. Okay, the events the person was talking about were untrue. These accusations were untrue. I knew they were untrue. And because of that, I was able to be more gaslight resistant. I knew the other people. It was a group of people. I knew the other players in the group, and only one of them was messaging me, and I knew this person had also been given an untrue narrative by some of them. Untrue or not, it still wasn't okay, right? I was being accused of someone. I was being accused of something that was actually patently untrue, and then I was being told things like I wasn't a team player. Gaslight in its purest form. But here is where it twisted into something else. The person who sent the message then went on to say, as the message went on, it's one of those really, really long texts, which is always a sign of, but it said, then went on to say, like, you're so great at what you do, your contribution so essential, Dr. Romney, you're so brilliant, you're so essential to the project, and everyone thinks you're amazing. Pick a lane and go to hell and double go to hell. That you and your team, who were actually trying to do a project that was meant to help survivors of abuse, would do this. It's bad enough when people behave in these ways. It's really bad when they virtue signal and then shine out their communal narcissism card of wanting to be vaunted as such great rescuers in the world. Right? And remember, anger is good. Dr. Romney loves some anger. Surprise is not good. That showed me I'd healed a bit, because I wasn't at all surprised this happened. I looked at the text, not surprised, but then I became mad as hell. Good. Now I'm just generally pissed, because this person and others in this group thought they could get this inverted, reverse, call it what you will, gaslight past me. I mean, in some ways, no respect, right? In some ways, it was having no respect for the player. I'll have to admit, some of this anger was ego. Like, how did you think you were going to get this past me? But actually, I had to step back. I was actually telling a friend about that today, and it said it wasn't ever about me. These are antagonistic people. Because they never for a minute would believe what they did was manipulative, right? But then I was glad they did, because now look, I get to teach you guys about it. So, there you go. Gotta turn the toxic lemons into lemonade. Paying it forward is an important part of healing. So thank you to those people who behaved so badly. So why am I calling this a inverted, twisted, distorted, reverse gaslight? It was a regular gaslight to start with, okay? The person denied reality, said something untrue, doubted reality, doubted my perception, and then told me there's something wrong with me. I mean, there's a lot wrong with me, okay? A lot. But in my particular case, disloyal, not committed, not a team player. Not true. Okay? Now, there's power in this message because the person who sent the message actually has a good reputation in the world at large and has a lot of power. So that built in the so-called trust that a gaslighter requires and had done a lot of work to build that trust with me. But the kind of twisted, distorted, reversed part of this gaslight was that the gaslight ultimately landed in a different place. Hey, yeah, we saw all these terrible things that you did and that you're doing, and you are kind of rotten and disloyal and awful,
but then turning around and saying, well, you're actually really great, and a great person wouldn't do all the terrible things you did. You see what I'm saying? You're great, you did terrible things. So what does that mean? It's a skillful maneuver because it doubles down on the manipulation of reality, and it treats the person being gaslighted. Again, you're saying there's something wrong with you, but hey, look, we think you're great, and yet you did terrible things, so what gives? Right? I
happen to know the psychology of this group of people because I've known them for a while, and I knew that this was a bit of a manipulative Hail Mary pass that they were tossing. So it sort of firmed up. It solidified. Remember, in these relationships, everything's data. So it firmed up what I'd already suspected, right? I was already disengaging a little bit. And we always know that the moments of disengagement, once it's sensed in a narcissistic relationship, is a precarious time. The manipulations and the abuses escalate at that time. The premise being, most narcissistic people would say, like, what's wrong with you? I'm great. Why are you wanting to step away? But this kind of distorted, inverted gaslight is actually a very skillful maneuver. Because when this happens to you, you feel like you're being hit from all sides. It's like a simultaneous invasion from air, sea, and land. You are bad. You are good. You aren't seeing reality clearly. All these things are being said to you at the same time. The manipulator, the gaslighter, portrays themselves as someone who, I know you're great. So it's shocking that you could behave like this. So we need to talk about this. And why, oh why would you want to disconnect or be angry at someone who thinks that you're so great? Only a crazy person would do that, right? So you see what it does? It reinforces that sense that there's something wrong with you. I think you're great. Why wouldn't you want to keep talking to me? After this happens, you really don't have any good path forward to talk with someone who does this to you. There's no sort of repairing it and navigating it because the entire conversation with the person has to be based on a faulty premise. You would almost have to buy into their version of reality to redeem the good view they have of you. But everything they do is a distortion. So the good view of you has to be a distortion too, right? You're so smart and great. So if you're so smart and great, you must see how badly you're behaving. Which means if you don't see how badly you're behaving, then you're actually a delusional bad person who does bad things, and you're not as smart and as good as they claim that you are, right? And this kind of smiling and winking and praising you while they stab you from behind is actually a pattern that's quite common in self-righteous narcissism and communal narcissism. Those of you in these relationships, this is where you're more likely to see these things. Like, well, aren't they such wonderful people because they see the good in everyone? They even see the good in the terrible people who take advantage of them and stab them in the heart, even though that's not what you did. Repair under these circumstances really isn't possible, because you either have to cop to something that isn't true, which is terrible for your soul, or then they're going to turn around and say, I guess you weren't who we thought you were. But who cares what they thought you were, because it's all distorted, good or bad. My version happened to occur at work, right? In an intimate relationship, this could easily be the whole they could do the whole usual gaslighting sequence and then turn around after the end of it and say, you're such an amazing mother. You take care of our family so well. How is it that someone who is messaging with how special and great you are, it's murky. It is no different than a narcissistic parent screaming at their child and saying terrible things, and drawing that child perhaps into a hug and saying, can't you see how much I love you? I say these things because you are my everything. I hit you because I love you. And I'm going to curse, because that's a mind f***. I can't think of any other word, because A, when that happens to a child, the child has to attach, and the child wants and needs to believe that you're loved by this screaming, enraged parent. And it means that very quickly you pair love and abuse and adoration and cruelty. And as all of us on this channel know, it becomes an